Detroit is different. Detroit is different. I can feel it. Detroit is different.
Welcome back to Detroit is Different Podcast Studios. And I have in studio someone that I want to hear for a while. You guys are going to get some gems. I feel like Detroit gems, people that I look up to as far as like a wealth of knowledge. Actually, if you check the archives of Detroit is Different and Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network, you can get a lot of hints just from like a short interview, very short interview, almost like 60 seconds worth of this, that, the other. And not only a person that is a fan of Black history, experienced a lot of it, but also sort of like me, she likes to connect with the stories themselves too. So not only is it read in book, read in academics, but also definitely the stories connect. So if you know her, you definitely know we talking Eastside MACC Development right now, but it even supersedes so much of that. Edythe Ford, how you today?
I'm fine, and you?
All is cool. All is cool. See that smile coming in with the love.
Oh, yes, you got to love on your people and be
Love
happy you up and doing something.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we always start these. You was like, what we going to be talking about, Kari? And it's like, all right, we're going to start with your story, but I'm sure we'll touch a lot of stuff. But the roots, your family. How does your family get to Detroit?
So my family is in Detroit from Alabama,
Okay.
South Carolina,
All right.
and Pulaski, Tennessee.
Okay. Where is Pulaski, Tennessee?
Pulaski, Tennessee is in Tennessee, now about an hour from Memphis.
Okay.
And that is the place that the Ku Klux Klan started.
Wow.
So my father's parents raised me. So my grandmother, her mother and father were from Pulaski, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And her father was white. And they got married, and got married, and 3 minutes after they said, I do, they got in a car and drove to Detroit in 1917. They were both barber surgeons.
Wow.
My grandfather's family is from, it was called at the time Little Horse Creek, South Carolina.
Wow.
But
that's
now
a name.
it's a part of Aiken, South Carolina, which is just outside of Charleston. They were enslaved there by a gentleman, I think John Moore. He was a physician and a politician. And they own 87 acres of land there.
Wow.
Which they have had 108 years this year.
Wow.
So my great-great-grandfather I knew, but I didn't know my great-great-grandfather. So my great-great-grandfather, who was a Moor, he was a slave, and he's the one that got the land. And my great-grandfather, their family had been out of slavery for 3 years. So he was born 3 years after they were out of slavery.
Okay.
And my mother's side of the family was from Alabama and Georgia.
All right. Alabama and Georgia, as we've uplifted so many interviews on Detroit is Different, are like some, I would say, heavy anchors when it comes to most Black folks around Detroit.
Yes.
Just due to Lou Beatty Jr. He concurs, but the migration patterns usually, the great migration patterns went the routes of a lot of the trains.
Right.
And a lot of those trains from Alabama, Georgia came up to Detroit, and Lou even gave the inside information that at one point in time, airlines were starting to look at some of those patterns going back to trains and like, all right, we need to get these cities to those places because that's where we connect.
And my South Carolina family was kind of strange because most of them went to New York
and
or
that's
New Jersey.
Very East Coast, went usually the Carolinas.
That was their route. But my great-grandfather decided he went to Columbus, Ohio, then came to Detroit because of the jobs.
Okay. All right. And then another thing you uplift, as even now, just due to so many reasons, and I understand this. Look, love and romance and dating, period, no matter what age, race, or where you're coming from, can be learning experiences. But definitely, like the further back you go, especially like pre pre-1960s, interracial relationships were very, it was
dangerous
for both parties.
and fatal.
Yeah,
Yes.
for both parties.
For both parties.
Yeah, so after that marriage to come straight up and say, "Hey, we got to get out of town."
Yeah, they knew. I remember my grandmother telling me how her father, because she could pass for white, but she said that her dad loved his black wife and his black children. He was very defensive of them. Matter of fact, the house I moved in now, my grandmother had to come with him to buy that house, even though she was married to my grandfather.
Yeah.
Because she could pass for white. And then being a woman, she couldn't buy a house whether she was any race.
Yeah.
So she brought him. And so I asked her what happened after she moved in with my grandfather, because he was a little darker than you. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know. The second night, these people was throwing rocks and yelling at the house." I said, "What did you do?" She said, "Well, I called my daddy because he loved his daughters." And he came up there to the house, and it was a big argument outside. He came with some other men. And I said, "So what happened after he left?" She said, "When we left out the house the next day after that, we were Mr. and Mrs. Moore."
Hilarious.
I was just cracking up. I'm like, okay.
Hey, yeah. These stories go into another more recent interview with Bill Meyer Jr. Coming here, and he says he vividly remembers as a child just the whole community up in an uproar. Him being from Canada, didn't really understand it. It was like black family moved in, and just to that whole immediate reaction of moving in. And this isn't when people talk about this history is so long ago, this is within lifetimes of people, meaning black family moved in house. Even children were like, let's get rocks and throw them at them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still people alive that's still alive from that.
Yeah.
And I tell people that. They that's a long, long time ago. So my master's degree is in American history. I said, no, it's not. You still got people that had those experiences that I hear now. I'm one.
Yeah, see, as I told you, it's that's what I love about. See, Edythe is amazing because the oratory stories, but also what's coming in academics and books. Because a lot of times, and more power to all historians, but history goes along the empirical and historical method, where usually it's looking to triangulate information, meaning it can be written in multiple texts. So it's like a Supreme Court justice wrote this, then it's in some type of popular novel, and then a professor wrote a dissertation time and stuff. And it's okay, well, all these three things coming together, it happened. Yep. And as we know in our community, especially, it's so many things that happen that nobody's speaking of. A lot of times for the safety of possibly who's speaking, but also others involved.
Well, we have to speak more because that's what's wrong right now. People aren't really reading. Yeah. And one thing that I always tell people, history, as they learn more, the first thing you learn may change 10 years later.
Yeah.
Because they find more information and more people and eyewitnesses to it speak up. And it's with the current thing going on in our election, and some of the people that come into our place, our coffee shop, they wanted to vote for the current president. And I said, I'm not voting it for anyone that I know that's blatantly racist. Because I already know what's going to happen. I already been through that. When we do things, we can't think that, so I voted for this person or I support this person. They just got to do this. Everything is nuance. You're not going to always get everything you want at one time. It's a project. So if you got a list of 10 things and you get 3, okay, you're doing something. So now we work on the next person or working with that person to get the next 3. All this fight that we've had, it's been going on since before 1619.
Very, very much so, and even the last name Moore, the more you know about history, connects to a whole lot of these challenges that define. It's hard to say racism existed before race itself, but
Yes.
When you study a lot of things, and I urge many of you all, wherever you may go, you can try YouTube, you can try the library, you can try Google, you can go through different things in AI, but look into a lot of
This
the
phone
history of
right here,
Moorish people. Yes.
we didn't have this.
No.
You can learn everything on your cell phone. You
Very
just
much
can't
so.
go to no whack sites now. You got to go someplace that's credible, and you can research if the
Mhm.
site you're looking at is credible.
Yes.
But it's like no excuse for it.
Mhm.
Pick up a book.
Yeah.
Like I get in so many debates with people giving me misinformation. I, I had a debate with somebody about um the people they're deporting. I
Mhm.
said, well, you really can't do that because if you follow the Constitution, it says every person and people have these rights.
Mhm.
Now, if you are actually an American citizen or you've been given citizenship, you got a certain group of rights, but every person here has due rights, has Second Amendment due process rights.
Mhm.
Um, but even that whole Constitution was violated by the so-called founding fathers
Very much so.
because it should have never been anything like a law for women's rights, a law for civil rights, a law for Black people or slaves. The Constitution said all persons and people.
Mhm.
It's not, oh, you're an exception if you're gay, or you're an exception if you're a woman, or if you're Black or Mexican. So it's really deep.
We're definitely gonna pick up there. We're definitely gonna pick up there. And with that, I just want to add this, but we're gonna come back to it. But in that same light, research Plessy versus Ferguson. People watching. With that, so your family's comes this way to Detroit. What neighborhood?
They started in the outside of the Eastern Market. So
Okay.
right now it's 375 there, but I have the location and pictures.
Okay.
So what's there now is a food processing plant. So they were there. They were barber surgeons, and all of my grandmother and all of her sisters, except for her two baby sisters, were barber surgeons. So barber surgeons, if you go to a barber shop, if it has a white and blue stripe pole, they're only barbers. Red and blue and white stripe means they're barber surgeons. So they could pull teeth, give you stitches,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So they were barber surgeons, and they bought a building where the barber shop was on top, and they had 2 flats at the top of the building.
Okay.
Then I forgot the name of the mayor. It's in our reparations report.
Okay.
But he wanted to get Black people from out of there, so they started slum clearance. And the city took that property, and they bought another shop just down where 75 comes through the Eastern Market.
Okay.
And they bought a house on Hendricks. So the shop ended up being tore down. By that time, my great-grandfather was dead, and so my great-grandmother, she still had the house on Hendricks, and it's a block of it still left on the east side of I-75 by the Russell Industrial Complex. It's a church there at the corner.
Okay.
So they were barber surgeons, they were business owners.
And I want to highlight for people, as like I say, you learn this as you have more discussions and looking at things, but barber surgeon, as I love that you even uplift that. But at one point in time, like the way we look at medicine, the way we look at healing, things, grow into where they were. But definitely, even being a barber, and many other professions were, I'm going to say, from a lot of what's spoken and what I've read, are looked at with a level of prestige throughout community, and honored. And then definitely, like, a barber surgeon was the type of the type of business that communities really wanted that in there. Like, it's like, no, we want we want them here. So
That was like being a medical doctor. That was
yes.
the class level of a barber, sir.
Very
Barber.
much
Yeah.
so, and so much more community based, because right now, just due to like between the hospital systems and health insurance, I mean, you could live next door to, you may live next door to the best heart surgeon in your city, but not have like no idea. Whereas then, because things were so much more communal, it's like, no, we need access to it. And though we're in a big city, y'all got family down south too. But like sometimes even like down then, like when we think of if you're in any form of medicine, even especially like this movement of midwife, like people may, knock on your door 3, 4 o'clock in the morning back then. Like, hey,
Yeah.
come on, we need help.
Yeah. That's how it was when we grew up. Everybody in the neighborhood did something and knew how to do something. I had moved out to Birmingham, Michigan for a while.
Mm.
When my grandmother passed away, they wanted me to move back to the house.
Mhm.
So when I got there in 2012, it was all of this stripping and, people was losing their houses to
Yeah.
property tax foreclosure. And, I grew up where everybody was in everybody's business, not in a judgmental way,
Mhm.
but making sure your utilities were on. You had water, your
Mhm.
kids had food, they weren't walking around dirty, everybody watching each other's kids and watching each other's house and stuff. And they weren't doing it anymore.
Mm.
And I understood it when I lived in Birmingham, but I didn't understand that when I came home.
Back to the neighborhood.
Yeah, so I'm running around trying to find out what's going on, and
Yeah.
I'm not talking to this person. And I said to myself, that's why this place looks the way it is.
It definitely plays out. I've been in this community a long time and definitely remember things being more communal. But the further back, similar to you say about the stories of things, like very, very intricate of like almost like everything. I often uplift kind of back to those migration patterns. I remember this as a child, but definitely the further back you go, like if families were going to certain states in the summertime, it was expected that those families would come back with produce from that place. So like
Yes.
we're very familiar with Georgia pecans, but it's certain spaces and places where it's like, I want those Georgia pecans from, I want to get them from Athens, and I know you got family up that way. I want
Right.
this, especially in certain parts of Alabama. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't know what's happening with the soil there and what our people did, but it's some parts of Alabama where watermelon it just don't taste like that.
It's just good.
Yeah, it's like
It's
damn,
sweet.
you know what I'm saying? Like you eat a whole, it's like I don't even want dinner. It's like I want
This
these.
is hitting right
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I think something definitely is dealing with what was in the soil, how they did it, how long they grown it, how the families that
Right.
turn it over for years and years and years, where it's just gonna connect. And it's like,
Yes.
oh yeah, we want to get that here.
And people weren't really judgmental. Like I was telling these guys, they got their trap house. I'm like,
Mm,
you know what? I had to go over there one day. So
mm,
it was a bunch of stuff going on, and a bunch of neighbors called me,
mm.
families with kids.
Yeah.
And so I go over there and they're looking at me. I got this white hair. I'm like, what's up? They was like, what you want?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm looking at my Netflix and I get this call
Mm.
that is shooting and drag racing up and down the street and the kids here. Then they started looking at me
Mm.
and I was like, look, I can't tell you how to feed your kids, but you got to respect your neighborhood, especially these kids.
Mm.
And they was like, lady, this a trap house. I was like, trap yourself over there,
Hilarious.
88-year-old house.
Hilarious.
Lady's house. You see that forest growing in her back? Because I don't believe in the police and the environmental inspectors and all that coming to write tickets. Because once the police or some of them come, it's a problem for everybody.
Very much so.
I'm like, go over there and chop that stuff down in her backyard, that forest, before environmental come down here and start writing everybody a ticket.
Yeah.
They like, we drinking and smoking. Do that over there. She don't care. Just take you some saws and some hammers and some lawnmowers and get it done. And I told them, if you need something, this is where I live. This is where I work. Call me or come over my house. 3 months later, I find out they done adopted this woman.
Yeah.
And they helping in the neighborhood because they called me because she's supposed to go to the doctor and they was supposed to take her and she wouldn't answer the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have to get back to that. You have to affirm people's dignity whether you like what they're doing or not. You can't give it to them. God already gave them dignity. And you got to find things for people to do so they feel like they're a part of the community and not be afraid to do it.
It's interesting you speak to that as another one of my favorite East Siders too. Tony McElwain always speaks to that too. Reaffirming someone's dignity and also the willingness to engage, because oftentimes a lot of the misunderstandings are it's just no communication.
Yes.
So with it, the neighborhood that you remember most, that you identify as this is where I grew up, where is that?
On the east side, I live on Fisher Street and live in the Pingree Park neighborhood.
Okay.
Yep. And that's where I grew up. My family's been there in that same house since 1942.
Wow.
And I'm really blessed because it's still generational there.
Yeah.
So a lot of my friends moved back in their parents' or grandparents' house or their kids. So we had that connection and that made things a lot easier too.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So coming up, what was it like when you were a child? I definitely know you venture into history and a lot of Black history. So the two questions I got: what do you remember as a child, and what do you remember about how you began, I guess, feeding your interest or growing your interest for Black history?
So as a child, I grew up there and I always laugh with people. I said, first of all, I was raised by the silent generation. My grandparents, so you had like two choices, comply or die. Like it was no in between. We were pretty like free. Like in our generation, like when I was 5, my grandmother school was 6 blocks from the house. I got walked to school 3 times in kindergarten. After that, you got to go to school. See ya. Being able to do my chores and leave and don't come back to dinner time.
All right, wait, time out. I do have to ask this because definitely, I guess, all generations with chores, things are different.
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely got to ask, what were chores? What was like a load of chores for you when you were like 6, 7?
We had to sweep and clean, make sure the front of the house is swept and clean.
Okay.
Cleaning up the kitchen.
Okay.
They had a stool for you if you was too short to reach the sink.
Yeah.
Cleaning refrigerators, baseboards, and cleaning up your room.
Okay, those are two things that even to this day, like baseboard cleaning, I know I'm dealing with like a elder when they come down to like baseboards, because baseboard cleaning, that's definitely some on the knees, real scrubbing.
Yeah, you go on the knees, you got to do that. And if you were outside and you happened to walk by somebody's house and they wanted you to do something, you had to do it.
Oh, man.
So that's why when we were kids, when we left out, we didn't come back to dinner time. You be at the park. I mean, I was 7 years old catching the bus downtown. I'm not coming back.
I mean, yeah, if the task is small, like, roll the garbage out, that's cool. But if the task is like, hey, help me get and this is, boy, this reminds me, this was my grandma's house. And she was old school, obviously, but because they'd be like, you got the hands that's perfect for it. Like, the first time, but like, the getting grass out the cracks of the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, all that. And then about 7 or 8, you had to mow the line. So we didn't have gas-powered lawnmowers. You just had to push lawnmower. You could not come back in that house like if the elderly family down the street or that lady with a bunch of kids that worked all day. You couldn't come back. You had to make sure that their grass was cut too. And you couldn't take no money from them.
Yeah, but grass cutting with I've never had a I've never had the push mower that wasn't, that you couldn't put gas in, but I can definitely tell you the with a knife and getting grass out.
We had the edge with a knife. Like they got them edges now. We ain't had that. Now, my grandfather did get the manual edger. We thought we was in heaven.
There you go. That was like a rider mower probably back in that day.
It was. And then when we was about 12, they would let us take money from certain neighbors.
Okay.
So me and one of my brother, we ran a salon business.
Okay.
So we kept about $600-700 in our dresser drawer.
There you go.
Because we was getting paid.
Landscaping.
Like, we plant your flowers. We would do all of that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, history. At what age do you really start, like, I guess, growing this thirst for knowledge of Black history?
Well, then most parents taught you your family history.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was about 5, we started going down south to protest because church was different. Like, if your pastor came from Alabama and something was happening in Alabama, they was trying to register to vote or something, your parents get that call, you getting on the bus, we going down there. And your parents didn't really protect you from what was going on because you needed to know for your own safety and know what was going on. And also, pastors would talk about it at church. I always say pastors was really militant when we was in church. So we would start going down south. And that's why I tell people starting at 5, all the way up to, like, even when I went out to Finney High School at 16, they bust us out there in 1973. By the time I was 8, I'd been shot on, threatened to have dogs sicked on me, almost got hit with the fire hose. Like, they got my auntie and dislocated her shoulder, but they missed me. But in church, they were always... The civil rights movement was like a military movement. So you were trained to be prepared for what could happen to you and how to handle it. And one time we were in Yazoo, Mississippi, and they arrested us kids. I was 8. That was 3 months before the rebellion in Detroit. So it was like from 6 years old to 13 years old. And they sent us to 3 different county jails, so it took our parents 4 days to find us.
Yeah.
And people say, I know y'all was upset and crying. Nope. At church, they had us ready for that. We started singing songs.
Yeah.
And we would make the guards at the jail angry because they would come in and say, you niggas, shut up. So as soon as they left and shut the door, we was right back at it. And, we kind of had a party and if somebody got upset, the older girls would, comfort them, and we just kept on going. And then our parents just found us.
Okay. All right. I definitely want to pick up on that because the singing songs I've heard from some of these other stories as well. But I also want to go right back as being a historian. You can probably share this, but actually a lesson I learned. Rest in peace to my godmother, Mama Watson, Joanne Watson.
Oh, yeah.
But in her journey, at one point in time, I gave her one of my older Bibles. And when I did it, she was like, I can't accept this. And then she said, let's look in the beginning of it. So if anyone has like the history of a lot of family Bibles, which I have, my great-grandfather, he was a preacher in Selma, Alabama. And inside the Bible, it's like the family tree.
Yes.
And this would be commonplace. Can you start sharing the like, what you know about like the family trees being in these family Bibles?
Well, they would put the family tree in a Bible because you had things going on. Like right after slavery, they were kidnapping Black men, going out to get work. And the federal government was after all of these different counties for peonage, which was against the law. Like, so what they did is that's why a lot of our great-grandparents and grandparents didn't have birth records. They started burning down county jails that had birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage licenses so that they wouldn't get caught by the federal government.
Wow.
Because it was a federal law it was against the law to like hire somebody and you're not paying them, like, or you get them from jail from the sheriff and make them work and they don't get paid. That was against federal law. So they started burning them places down. So they kept your history. Like I just found my grandmother's old Bible. like I knew a lot, but I found some other people I didn't know about. So your whole record of your family, births, deaths, if they move somewhere, it will all be listed in the Bible.
Okay. And
that was a legal proof of that person's existence.
okay. I love, and I was, like I said, I knew I was gonna get some game on this. I love that you help capture that a whole lot more, because back to, this is definitely in the silent generation. So, the stone cold, because I said so saying was prevalent, even me sometimes interacting. But I remember Mama Watson speaking to that. But these older Bibles in a family, and I love that you shared that. Knowing it's like, what should when you get one, what should someone do?
When you get it, start taking that information out and creating your family tree. And then you can start filling it in, and also get DNA testing the women in the family, because that's going to really trace you all the way back to where you came from. The matriarchal DNA is better, but you'll get names and things that went on in places that's hard to find in the census. You get a lot of, because we did this in grad school too. You get a lot of information in the census, but because places were burned down, like my grandfather was in World War II. Most of the documents of people, Black soldiers in World War II, were burned up. In the federal archives. So that also let me know the places he went, because my grandmother was a photographer too. And she would keep up with stuff. When he got shipped off to Europe, she went to New York and took a picture of him on the ship that was leaving.
Wow.
So you get little things that you didn't know about your family, and you need to know that, because history will have you to think your family wasn't great or that they didn't do anything.
And you said also this will be honored as a legal document,
and it's honored as a legal document. Also, when because at some point we are going to get reparations. You're going to have that proof that you are a descendant of chattel slavery in the United States. So you need to have all that information.
I will, yeah, because after that happened, my that ended up like in my mom's possession, and right now I know in my family safe after my mom passing. But now that you share that, I will. I'm gonna look a little bit further in that Bible, because it was, like you said, it was other notes. I know throughout.
Notes. They'll have notes stuck in there and everything. And like me, I'm 66 now and I'm fine, but I'm starting to pass that stuff on to my adult children. Because if something happens, they got it.
Okay. All right. So now I guess, like, in this same journey, as you say that you're in kindergarten, really engaging in organizing in the civil rights movement. What was it look like then, from like you being 5? Because clearly a lot of people that from community and your church are there, but during that time, how do people like even look at it? Because oftentimes too, it's I mean, even SAR people, like you're in something and then people reflect and then they look back and then it ends up with this label. But what was it? What was how did the community define it, and what church were you going to that was getting you back and forth there?
So at the time I was going to New Liberty.
Okay.
That was ran by E. Allen Rundless, and he used to be a member of the Soul Stirrers, and he had an adopted daughter called Laura Lee that was an R&B artist.
Okay, wait, time out. The Soul Stirrers are like one of the largest gospel acts that in reality a lot of the clearly, I mean, you all can kind of watch this in Jamie Foxx's Ray interpretation, but like a lot of what they would call like the popularity would come from singing a lot of gospel music. Now there were blues acts, which is a little bit different and a different type of edge, but many acts. So like Sam Cooke, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, like even James Brown himself, like would transition from gospel music into what they say race records was like I think the time they call that what became R&B and rock and roll, but just black music is American music. Let's just go
Yes.
from there.
When you were kids, your parents always took you to meetings.
Uh-huh.
So you might not be saying anything at the meeting, but you
Mhm.
playing and you're hearing.
Mhm.
So it just things you learn just became something that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Or I'm going with my parents to this protest. And so when I was there, we knew what we were supposed to do.
Okay. When do you remember just civil rights being the title that everybody started using?
When I was about 7. So
Okay.
that was like 1964.
Okay.
Yeah, 1964.
And a lot of the movement around this was definitely present and leading up definitely before the 60s. So
Yeah.
many of the actions have already been made, and I've uplifted this before, but this is a perfect time to uplift also a lot of the nonviolent strategies and all of it. Like the civil rights movement, it was very strategic because it was not always the nonviolent act kind of came to light as, okay, this is a strategy that we've seen kind of adopted by at that time by a lot of Indians.
Yes.
And what Gandhi was doing, and it's a strategy because before then it was like, all right, if they fighting, we gonna fight too. The challenge with that was if a picture was taken of a black man fighting a white man, it would be crazy black people attacking white people, and that would not necessarily move forward in the way that people felt like could be the most effective way. But I just
Right.
also want to characterize that because oftentimes I think the civil rights movement and also the nonviolent acts and like the trainings of like a John Lewis and a Dr. Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers kind of gets it's not given the correct the lens and context.
Right. And then one of the things they were always afraid of, you attacking someone, they may not get you, but they'll go get your family
That too.
and children.
Very much
But
so.
also, when I hear people say, I couldn't be like that, I would have had to fight back.
Mhm.
You gotta when this was happening, everybody did something.
Mhm.
But to make white culture and America safe, they just highlighted Dr. King's nonviolent movement.
Mhm.
It was still other groups that would resort to some violence now
Very, very much so.
because no one in the world will allow for their freedom to be compromised.
Mhm.
Humans are not going to allow that, and they will give up their lives before they can't be free.
And like the deacons of defense are highlighted, but I
Yep.
mean, even when it comes to like more horrific of the history of our people, the enslavement of our people. But there were so many revolts. I think Nat Turner's is the one that most often is spoken about
Right.
today, but there were many revolts.
They don't talk about John Brown.
Yeah, a white man.
He's a white man.
Yeah.
He wasn't down for that.
Yes.
He even tried to recruit Frederick Douglass, but
Mhm.
Frederick Douglass, he knew what was going to happen because he's
Mhm.
coming up against federal troops.
Mhm.
But John Brown did it anyway.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep, they
Yep.
had the Deacons for Defense. My family down south, we were in the woods surrounded by KKK.
Yeah.
But my great-grandfather, he didn't play that. You
yeah.
better call before you turn off that road onto their land.
Yeah.
Because every kid, cat, dog, pig, squirrel, grown-up, women, there were guns and things everywhere, and we were going to defend ourselves there.
Very, very much so.
I got my first hunting rifle at 8.
Mm.
They taught me how to go out and catch food and catch people too if I had to.
It's yes.
And my grandfather did too up here in Detroit.
So, okay, and with these travels, so now like kind of with your travels through the South, like as a child, seeing a lot of this, what impact is that having you on you as far as like looking to learn more about the history of our people and the legacy of your family in all of this?
Well, it always makes me want to learn more about people and help people learn about their people.
Mm.
Cause I teach it to my kids.
Mhm.
They know. I teach it to my nieces and nephews, and I'm teaching it to my grandson who just turned 8.
Mm.
Because you have to have some sense of pride and dignity in yourself.
Mm.
And that starts at knowing where you come from and who you are. And I try to teach it to our kids and young adults in the neighborhood because we got you this. My grandparents and parents got me this far.
Mhm.
Then I brought it this far. Now it's your turn. What are you going to do? What are you going to pick up? Also, I always want my family and my neighbors to learn you don't have to do it like we did it. You don't have to do it like your ancestors did it. You just got to pick it up and you got to do something. Because sometimes I hear them say, where is Malcolm X? Where is our Malcolm X? Where is our Black Panthers? You're a Black Panther. You're a Malcolm X. Do something. And do something could be like you do these podcasts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I would hope.
Doing something is
so.
taking care of the people, making sure the people that you know need some help in your neighborhood.
True indeed.
Doing something is them guys at the store that watch out for us at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And we got a funny face when we look out that window and that brother see that the brother see it across the street at the gas station. They over there lickety splitting. Doing something is protesting.
Mm-hmm.
Even like I told people, when we would go protesting, the lady in the town that we went to, the ladies that cooked, we would be out protesting 14, 15 hours, especially down south and it's hot. If we didn't eat before we went to bed, we wouldn't have been able to get up in the morning.
Very, very much so. A logistical fact that I often uplift in the Montgomery bus boycott that becomes a boycott of the whole Alabama bus system is the logistical excellence of the organizing. And this is a lot of sisters, like the carpooling that goes on at that time.
They started
for people that
services.
started. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, we got to think like that level of how to organize like that, because people still got to get to their job. It's like, I'll support you, but and it topples. Like this is not really uplifted enough, but I always love to share this. But the Montgomery bus boycott topples the economy of Alabama.
Yes,
like to a point where Alabama's like, George Wallace, one of the most, I guess, more, documented racists in American history. Let's just say that. He's begging the American government for money and, pleading, especially with like a Lyndon Baines Johnson. Like at the time, he's not necessarily, I think, the biggest supporter of civil rights either. But it's like, I can't give you money for this. Yeah. Like it topples the economy, and other states in the South are looking like, we don't want none of that either.
Look at New York with the women that started Don't Buy Where You Can't Shop At.
Yeah.
They did that probably a month before school started. The New York shopping districts, they broke them down.
Yeah.
In a month.
It can be
when we hold out, because we spend more money than any group in the country.
We spend a lot.
We spend a lot. We live in places where we're charged a lot.
Yeah.
Because of racism. Something as simple as not spending your money will topple systems.
I mean, I think it's playing out right now just in the DEI protest of Target, that I remember the movement of a lot of sisters like right after the election saying, we're not going to Target anymore, when they said we're not standing on our DEI policies. And since then, I like, even at times where it's like, okay, I would just usually like bounce over to Target, just in my mind, it's like, I can't ever go to Target again.
Nope. And
I threw away my Target. I have to throw away, like I have some Target bag. You keep like bags and stuff. It's like, I can't even use this as trash anymore.
And I try to shop my Black businesses in
With
Detroit.
Black business.
Because guess what? By the time I drive out to the suburb or somebody come and get me and I risk getting a ticket, I'm not saving any money.
Yeah, well, that
And then I'm going to be treated different when I go in there. I don't have to worry about nobody looking at me. It's going to be something, we're going to be chit-chatting it up. I'll have a good time, get what I want, and get gone.
Certainly. Certainly. So now I have to, you pointed this out too. Like, so you were actually, you were traveling down south in protest. You said 3 months before coming back for the rebellion.
Yeah.
What do you remember? You're a child at the time. What's the response of your family? What's the feeling? I know you're East, but clearly it impacts not just the city, it impacts the state of Michigan. And I go as far as to say it impacts the nation.
Well, I didn't know about that then.
Okay.
That was just something we had to do. Or like, even when I got back home, like when that incident happened in Detroit, they try to portray it as Detroiters was burning the city down. We were not burning stuff up. That was white store owners and homeowners that wanted to get the insurance money and move out the city. We were looting. And my mother's brother, Uncle Junior, he was a Black Panther. He had us out looting. So I got to experience that. My grandmother and them had a fit when they found out we went in Meyer Jewelry. And I came home to give my mama some jewelry and my grandma, and they had a fit about that. But the scary part was having to sleep on the floor. Because what had happened is the police, when the incident started happening on Virginia Park in Woodward at the Algiers it's a memorial park there. So it was the Algiers on one side, and on the other side, it was a house that they had bought that was like an annex. And some soldiers and this white girl and people were over there partying. And the police came in and shot somebody and arrested the white girl. And people started gathering around. And it had started on the weekend. So now we got cell phones. You can be reached anywhere. It was in the summer. So a lot of officers weren't in town. They were in their summer cottages or wherever they go. And they couldn't get to police. So the police were afraid and they started shooting the street lights out. So at a distance, other police officers thought it was snipers. And so what happened, they called in the National Guard because it kept getting bigger. And an uncle was watching nieces and nephews while the parents was at work, because I was at my mother's apartment right where it started.
Wow.
And he lit a cigarette. Niece was looking at TV. And they shot in the house
because they saw they saw the light of the cigarette and thought it was a gun.
A gun.
Yeah.
Gunfire. That's when it went nuts. Everybody was out. They were looting. People were shooting back at the National Guard. And LBJ was going. He had sent, I think it's the 100. He had sent 2 airborne divisions to Selfridge Air Force Base, and he was going to send those Army troops here. And John Conyers and Damon Keith, he wasn't a federal judge in Detroit yet. They got out in pickup trucks and started asking people to go in. But it had started dying down anyway. But they had 72 hours to get people in. But this is another thing I tell people, like they start asking me about Minnesota. So we had martial law and we had curfew. And this is why I love my people. Every adult had a note to be out when it was curfew time from some employer. Like, we were still having parties. They were still going to the bars. People was just still doing what they were doing. So that was a kind of scary time with us having to sleep on the floor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So from there,
and also it was tanks everywhere. Like sometime I hear some of our Black residents saying, yeah, we should do that again. I'm like, you don't want tanks on the corner of where you live.
Yeah, I think
That's scary.
yeah, I think definitely like some of those definitions, especially like being in this neighborhood, different stories and different takes, depending upon other families. I definitely love your account adding layers
Yeah.
to it, especially when it comes to a lot of what was said about snipers.
Yeah. And on the east side, a lot of people, like my mother and them lived in a flat, but back home at my house on the east side, people were like always watering their houses and stuff to make sure they wouldn't set on fire and stuff like that, gathering water
Okay.
and sitting on the porch watching.
Yeah. Which kind of, I guess, high school? Where do you go for high school?
I went to Finney. So
Okay.
in 1973, they bust me out of my neighborhood from Finney because they said my education was going to be better. I don't know why they did that because I always was a top student in DPS. So when we went out there, Finney was like an all-white neighborhood.
I was gonna say, Finney is like many. If I was the president of Northwestern alumni, y'all know I love saying that. But like, if you go back in any of these DPS schools and like you look further back at the graduation classes, you definitely see way more white folk.
Yeah.
Finney is like Finney's one of the last schools that really it's one of the last schools is really, I mean, kind of a little bit like into the 80s, there's still a lot of white students there. What was Finney like for you?
So really at that time when I went in 73, we didn't really go across Connors, east of Connors if you was Black, because you was gonna have problems. So of course when we got out there, it was calling us niggas. Parents coming over up there trying to fight with us, being shot at like we was down south at a protest.
Damn.
And one time we was on the Warren bus coming home, they flipped the bus over on us.
Wow.
That's what my grandfather was like, that's it. And when I came home that day, I was sitting on the porch with all our friends and stuff.
Are you in 9th grade when this happens?
I was, no, then you went to high school in the 10th grade.
Okay.
No, was it 6th?
Because it would be junior high went to the 9th. So you started, okay.
And so, but I had got double promoted, so I was a little younger.
Okay. So you were the age of a 9th grader, but in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I came home, I was sitting on the porch with my friends, and my grandfather came out and he looked at me and he sat there on the porch and listened to us. And he got up and he said, I wouldn't take that. And he said, Edythe, that's my nickname. You know what to do. And so I just started organizing. And we created the Afro Club.
Wow. And
then after that happened, the next day, like our neighborhoods was mixed in. So 2 doors down, my grandmother's best friend, they both were registered nurses at Hutzel Hospital. Her name was Miss Gervison. So Miss Gervison's sons, they had just graduated from high school and they worked at the Chrysler MACC stamping plant over by Warren and Connors Avenue before you get to Connors. And they were outside in their cool Steve McQueen Mustang.
Hilarious.
They had this green Mustang with the black leather seats.
All right.
So they said, so I stepped outside and they said, we're going to give you a ride to school.
Wow.
And I was like happy, then it clicked. They're supposed to be at work, you know, because everybody knew what time.
Yeah, the shifts.
At the plant,
very much so, very much so.
I said, aren't you supposed to be at work? They said, we taking you to school. And I said, I'm okay. They said, no, you're not getting this car. So they took me to school, and when they got there, we would have to go in Finney in the back. It was called the Cannon Breezeway because they used to be the Cannon Recreational Center, and they built the school on there.
Okay.
So before I got out, they said, point to who you think was bothering you. I was like, no, it's okay. They said, no, it's not. So, you know, I pointed out the guys and went in. Then after that, things started changing a little.
Imagine.
Then the next year they bust the gangs from Kettering.
Oh man.
The Coney Onlys and all of them. They started doing that mad squabble, and then that started going down.
It changes the culture.
It changed the culture. Mr. Johnson, our Afro studies teacher, helped us start the Afro Club. We even had leather sweaters with the big Africa on it.
Wow.
And, we had classes, and that started changing the culture there.
Okay, can you talk a little bit more about the Afro Club and what that was? I've definitely uplifted, certainly in like the late 60s and early 70s, and really throughout the 70s, it was a very big push to add Black studies into a lot of the curriculums, actually being led by students, which I think has a direct connection on the African-centered school movement of in Detroit throughout the 80s and 90s and, moving forward.
So when I was there, that more happened in the colleges.
Okay.
But at our schools, our teachers was very involved in civil rights and the Pan-African movement.
Okay.
So we had extracurricular activities where we learned that. So at Finney, to unite all the Black students, where we had chances to come together and be comfortable, we had the Afro Club.
Okay.
So they would teach us our African history. We had to learn the names of all the countries and be able to recite them and understand that the movement wasn't just limited to us, that everyone across the world that were Black came from Africa, and that if that also had to be free too.
So I definitely have this question too. Pan-Africanism is definitely more crystallized. Really, in my mind, like how I look at history, we're looking at one of the lead organizers with Dr. Martin Luther King and SNCC at the time is a Stokely Carmichael, and I think a great mind in a lot of organizing of Black folks, but then he transitions to being a Kwame Ture. But these concepts of Pan-Africanism, when do you remember being like introduced into the concept of Pan-Africanism and then really expanding your knowledge in that?
That started in 10th grade.
Okay. All right. So
Yep.
From 10th grade into college, where you definitely are going further into history and all of this and really kind of putting all this stuff together, where do you go to college and what was it that said, I'm studying history here?
Well, I started at Western, which in Kalamazoo, which was a very white college. Same thing going on there like at Finney. When I graduated from there, I didn't go to school for a while. But I'm always reading because that's the way I was taught in my family and reading about our history. So I'm working.
Also, you got that water right there.
Oh, yeah. I'm working at Wayne State, and you can go to school for free.
Okay.
So I decided to go get my master's in history. So my master's is in American history, but my research area is contemporary faiths in the United States.
Contemporary faiths in the United States.
Yeah. So it ends up, as I'm reading this and applying what I learned, you have to, the main ones is Jewish, Muslims, and Christians.
The Judeo-Christian.
So you have to study all of this.
Or as they say, the Abrahamic religions.
Yes. And so I'm in these classes. I have a research group. And so I'm the only Black person and woman in my group, and there's other white men. And, in college, you just can't study like you do theology. You got to study the culture, the people, the history, the climate, economics. You got to do all of that at these times that you're studying in the Bible. And that's when I came up with the term Jim Crow Jesus. So me and these guys, we're having these debates about if Jesus is white or not. So this is the funny thing. When I got up to Western, I never really seen no Black picture of Jesus. A white picture of Jesus. I didn't understand about white Jesus.
Wow.
My grandmother had, the black velvet picture of Malcolm, Black, Jesus, Black, and Martin, Black. Like, that's what's going on in my house.
There we go.
So the first time I seen a white Jesus up in Kalamazoo, I started laughing. I thought it was a joke. But then when I started studying, science defines the white Jesus that they show you. And even my graduate advisor, I started arguing with these guys in the group, and he just steps in because, in grad school, you got the grad office, and we up there all kind of times of night and day having these debates. And my advisor was there, and he steps in, he was like, "What are you arguing with her for? About how Jesus looked?" He was like, and he was an atheist.
Mm.
He said, "First of all, we're academians. There is nothing that's going to be in a hot desert region that's white with blonde hair." And he said, "or wearing white robes. Only the richest rich would have that." And he said, next, Jesus wasn't no skinny white dude either, because his family was carpenters. So he was probably a big built dude, rough hands, wearing probably like sack or beige or burlap clothing.
Mhm.
So he was like, if it is a Jesus, this is how Jesus would look.
Mhm.
So that kind of helped me a lot too. Then when you look at Jesus, I always say Jesus was a black man because, one, the Roman government was looking for him before he was born.
That's hilarious.
He was a refugee because he had to escape to Egypt, his family,
Yeah.
and an immigrant
Mhm.
that was homeless and didn't have a place to lay his head at night and depended on the charity of others.
Yeah. So a lot can be uplifted here, and like I say, I'm going from a lot of stuff that I've seen, looked at, read, but also different discussions. But let's just start with this is a very interesting topic because it's been on my heart one day to like just document all the Black Jesus images and churches and statues and things in and around Detroit, because there's so many here in Detroit, more so than most. I actually think that the painting of Jesus becoming black during the rebellion at Sacred Heart Seminary over here on Linwood in Chicago, I think that story is just like a classic Detroit is different story.
Yep, it's one on the east side. I forgot the name of that church, like by St. Paul or something.
Mhm.
It's still on the building. It was two churches like that where it was outside on the
Mhm.
building, but one of the churches got torn down.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Donna at ECM wanted me to interview with that group
Yeah.
because it was up when I was a kid.
Wow.
And a lot of them came up during the civil rights movement.
Yeah. So in it, I'm about to hit, and I definitely want you with the degree you have, you can add more to it. But the painting of white Jesus that I believe is more prevalent, definitely in American culture and probably more likely Western culture, is painting by Michelangelo. Michelangelo is painting a picture of his cousin. Blonde hair, blue eyes. So his cousin now becomes the depiction of Christ. This plays a key role in race and racism, and this is where I definitely would love you to share and fill in where where people may need more and I may need more. But this plays a key role in race and racism because during the horrors of the enslavement and also the middle passage of our people into America, and also like the capturing of some of the people that were already here, like Maroons and everything, different territories of then a non-United States, because enslavement of our people is older than the history of this nation.
Yes.
Different territories have different ways in which they can impose enslavement. Some of the toughest battles where we're looking at a lot of rebellions are taking place in like some of the coastal regions of like South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina. And it's so interesting because my white Black history teacher taught a lot of this, but so that was weird. But during this time, the definition of enslavement for many was because these as they would define us. Our people, my ancestors, were defined as beasts because we cannot accept any religion in Christ and God into our life, or we're polytheists, meaning we believe in too many gods. So the savagery of us is not to believe in God itself. That shifts as a lot more of those coastal enslavers start saying, look, I'm going to adopt religion and our religion into these people as a way of, in a lot of ways, as control. And this really kind of becomes prevalent here, but especially when we look at the Caribbean and South America, where a lot of the enslavement of those people led to a lot of their deaths. But the thought process is we're going to offer and be missioners and offer these people God first. And then after God, we have violence, So this weird relationship definitely has a whole lot to do with this certain image of Christ that is not like the image of you.
Well, you got to
So
remember,
please share more.
people were under torture then.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did learn in grad school, as you know, the Ethiopians have the oldest Christian church in dictionary.
Coptic Church Christianity, yes.
And what I learned in school, really, they would let the slaves come to church because they wanted to change them. The slaves, majority of them went there so they didn't have to work. They didn't believe, they were astonished about what was being taught to them. And they didn't understand what those slaves did in the woods. They would have church later in the woods. Those slaves, that's not what they knew about Jesus or the Bible or God. They didn't believe that. But they would pretend to do it. And of course, if you beat it over some people's heads, they're going to be weak and believe it, But most Black people didn't believe that.
I love you.
They just did that to get along, to keep from having the whip put on them, or for their children to be taken. But when they went out in the woods, because I used to have professors, we would go to different conferences, ask me, even in this time, they would ask me, how come our churches haven't progressed like their churches? I'm like, what do you mean progress? The scripture is the scripture. Like, what's going to progress except for you have a bigger church or you look richer? Because in our churches, we still don't practice like Christian nationalism. We don't really do those kind of things. And they call that not progressing. That's because we study the Christianity that we learn from our African roots.
I definitely shout out to my cousin, Dr. Myra Reynolds, that fellowship often sharing many of these things. So she's definitely shared a lot of this, and also whether through theology and a lot of things, like a lot of our cultures and customs are entrenched into obviously where we worship.
It is.
So like different things, even let alone like, especially like an African, Methodist, Episcopalian church, of like even the cloths themselves and just the design of the steeples are like, it's many things that are entrenched in cultures that date back thousands of years.
And a good lesson is down in Charleston, because in Charleston, they got this one area where the first 3 Black churches was created, not far from where Mother Emanuel Church is located. One is like a little shack. Then one looks like a house like this one. And then there's the bigger church. And they still had those churches there. And you can go and get the history. Because they weren't treating them the way the Bible says they should be treated. So they went and started their own places and never tore them down. And Mother Emanuel Church is really different because right in Mother Emanuel Church, right in front of it is this bronze statue of the Haitians that came to fight in the War of Independence.
Wow.
And
That's very deep, which kind of leads to, I know this may seem like an off question, but it's the natural next question I have. And connected to this, as you're studying this, you clearly, and I think a lot of people kind of recognize that a lot of the histories of so many cultures, and this is somewhat of a question that I would have is, as you study more of that in your master's, how do you further get like a better understanding of why the Vatican itself is so interested, especially in Black history?
well, one thing, the Vatican, they were a part of the Pope was like, yeah, these people should be slaves. And they probably have a lot of their archives and jewels and important artifacts. Also, I think as time has gone, you have gotten these popes that were against that are trying to follow the letter of Christ.
Mm.
And so in a little bit, they're starting to change.
Mm.
So I think maybe that's why they're involved. But at the beginning, all of the white churches and faiths, including the Baptist church, they thought that slavery was okay. And they were a part of that. And the church
very
has
much
a
so.
big they have reparations and a big thing. They need to pay for what they've done. Like when I was in last year at the National Local Reparations Forum they have for all the local states and cities working on reparations. A gentleman was there from Maryland from the Methodist Church.
Mm.
And the Methodist Church started in Maryland their group of churches to study reparations, and they're
Wow.
part of enslavement and persecution of Black people.
That's definitely, I certainly applaud that. And yes, because it's so weird because it's like, they act as if it's a difference between church and state, but church and state are very interconnected because
Yes.
I think a lot of the politics of church has very little to do with faith to begin with.
Which is
politics.
unbiblical.
Yeah.
Jesus had anything to do with the Roman government. Never. Matter of fact, he was a rabbi that admonished his people for getting involved with the power and wealth of becoming a part of the government or working with the government.
And now, in that same light, I'm transitioning to like kind of how I know you. So, and thank you so much for giving so much more context to this. But we meet, and you're entrenched in so many community movements. What is it? When do you? I don't even know necessarily. After with your master's, where you at? What's the trigger? I know you mentioned you come back to the house in 2012, but what's the trigger to that really begins you engaging in community, the neighborhood, MACC development? What was the goal for that?
So when I came back, I was like, this is crazy. We got to start talking to each other.
Mhm.
So that's my training and the way I was raised, that Black people, we have to care for each other.
Mhm.
How I met the church in MACC Development, because MACC Development is the feet and hands of the church.
Mhm.
So they saw me walking around talking to neighbors, knocking on
Hilarious.
doors, and they was like,
Hilarious.
who is this lady?
Yes.
So they had soccer at the park,
Mhm.
and they stopped me and asked me to come to church.
Okay.
And it was a white guy in our neighborhood that had just moved there.
Okay.
And they just kept calling, tag teaming me every week.
Okay. How long were they? How long did they have to chase you down?
About 6 or 8 weeks.
Wow, that's some persistence.
So finally I said, okay, I'm going to just go up there.
Yep.
But when I went up there, they got 2 black pastors,
Wow.
both from Cleveland, both grew up in the hood.
Okay.
And Pastor Leon was yelling at a young man in church because he wasn't doing what his mama was telling him. You
Okay.
know, he was like, I want to see you after church because your mama told you you've been cutting up. I'm like, okay,
Hilarious.
this old school church, this is the place for me. So I started going, and I don't think they really knew how to take me because, hey, I'm going to take you like you are, but if you say something racist to me, I'm going to tell you racist and why.
Yeah.
So we worked through that, but the pastors, both of them, they liked me. And then they bought that building on Mack and Bills for $500 from the land bank. So it had always some Polish brothers owned it.
Yeah.
And they made bar furniture. And then this black guy in our neighborhood on Iroquois had bought it.
Okay.
But he lost it to tax foreclosure.
Yeah.
So they boxed it out. It was all boarded up. They painted the inside. They put a shop furnace downstairs. And then upstairs, it was down to the studs. And they painted the inside. And they was giving food and clothes away. And they had tutoring for the kids. And our office was in the back. And that's how I met Orlando. Because he rented one of the little offices back there.
Okay.
And I worked part-time helping with the tutoring. And then the guy that from the church that helped start it, he said, I got to give you a better job. That's not you. Like, you could do more. So he made me the director of community engagement.
That definitely.
Then it got up to engagement and organizing because they saw me working on organizing the neighborhood. So then we were coming to a time we were changing to a black director, Ezekiel Harris. And they were asking, what should we do with the building? What should we do? I was like, ask the neighbors.
Yeah.
Black people know what they want.
True.
Look, we save hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of hiring some company. We just started having dinners and had the neighbors come in. So everything that's in that building, the coffee shop, the laundromat, the community space, the murals on the wall, the neighbors picked everything out.
Wow.
And they wanted to be the hands and feet of the church. So they asked me, how do we do that besides telling people to come to church? So when we grew up in church, the pastor, I used to tell people even criminals came to church.
Yeah.
And Miss Johnson down the street needed a roof. He'd be like, I need to see you after church.
Yeah.
Back next Sunday, Miss Johnson had a roof. Like, we didn't have people house getting foreclosed or you got kicked out. That got taken care of. So I'm like, that's how we have to be. We have to make sure people are stabilized in their homes, that our kids are doing well, that the seniors are being taken care of, people can get to work, stuff like that. Because if you're not doing that, you're not really doing the Lord's work.
So I definitely, have Kari questions. The key one is, as you're embracing this and engaging more in this, what's your family saying? What's your kids saying? What's your friends saying as you're getting more and more involved?
My family love it because that's our family.
Yeah.
And they and like my generation of cousins, they kind of fell back off of that.
Yeah.
But I noticed our kids is getting involved in doing more.
Okay.
And they love it. My neighbors, they've been knowing me. They said, you always been like that. Even when I got this promotion. So my nickname is Edythe. That's how people that really know me.
Yeah. And
they was like, just remember, you still Edythe. I'm like, well, y'all not gonna let me forget I'm still Edythe. So
there you
go. It's just been good. My kids don't like it because they wanted me to retire.
Hilarious.
But they got so I could babysit.
Hey.
But just like my grandparents, I take my grandson to the organizing meetings. We even started a junior block club.
Yep.
They went up there and embarrassed Dugan, had his face red. got the sidewalks fixed. My grandson was 7 at the time, and we went to his last District 5 meeting, and he said, yeah, what? They were going about the sidewalk, so, you know, we would send emails for him because I always tell him, you always had the receipts. After the meeting, you write down what he said, you know, and these are our receipts in a day. So when we had to confront them again, we got the receipts. So a year and a half before Dugan retired, they were at a meeting, and he said he's going to send Ron Brundrich out to make sure they get the sidewalks done. So Ron Brundrich comes out. Here we are, 14 months later, summer again, no sidewalks. So we lined the kids up at the last district meeting, and they're talking about their sidewalks. So my grandson is last. And he said, what can I do for you, little man? He said, my name's not little man. My name is Tyree Cross.
Hey, I
would
love
fall
it.
out laughing.
I love it.
He said, well, Mr. Cross, what can we do? He said, you said you were going to fix the sidewalks, and they're not fixed, and my grandma still won't let me ride in the street.
Oh, man.
So he says, Mr. Brundrich, I need you to come over here. My grandson said, he already came, and we still can't ride in the street, and the sidewalk's still not fixed. So the mayor turned burgundy red. 2 weeks later, we had new sidewalks from Fisher, from Sylvester all the way down to almost Gratiot.
That's deep.
And on Burns.
That's deep. I've met your grandson at a reparations meeting.
Oh yeah, he was at the meeting walking around.
Yeah. You are one of the members of the Detroit Task Force for Reparations.
Yeah.
That, completed a report that I urge everyone to check out and read, because it's very it's a great full scope of so many different things when we think of it, but also a collection of some people in community and brilliant thinkers as well. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's a good history perspective too.
Yeah, I mean, you, Mama Neb alone.
I love Mama Neb.
You know, definitely.
She got us all tightened up when we came there. Because, you know, I'm an activist, and when I got there with certain people, I was like, you a sellout, you.
Hilarious.
I'm like, no wonder. But then somebody from, I can't use their names, from the city council was like, we knew you was going to do that when you got there.
Hilarious.
How we sent you. I said, I'm not trying to embarrass you. They was like, nope, stuff didn't start rolling till y'all two got there.
Yeah, definitely different scope of thinkers and everything with it. So like, I guess now you all even see the baton is passed, because as we know,
but we got to get on that. So like, one of the newer city council members wants to meet with me because she's from our neighborhood, and she wants to really push that. And what I wanted and what we did get is, like I said, you can't put everything hard in a report. Like, I've been a manager since I've been out of college. If you give me 20 things that's hard, I'm not going to even bother with that. Just go ahead and start cussing me out, and let's be done with it. Like, let's start out with some things they're doing. They just need to do more of it and put some money into it. Like, I see they got one of the ideas of, we can't take over the school district. They're their own entity. That's a state function.
Yeah. But
like, when we were kids, it was different places you can go, you can walk to in your neighborhood to go get tutoring.
Yeah.
Teach them AI. Start teaching math at these different community centers, not just at the city community centers, because they're too far.
Yeah.
Like, ours is Butzel. That's too far from people in my neighborhood to go up to Butzel.
Yeah, and also Butzel, the hours, the weekends, you know what I'm saying? So
they're not open.
Yeah.
So it's already community organizations doing that. So give them money to do that.
Yeah.
That's somebody in the neighborhood getting a job. That's people coming in, volunteering, and getting to be around their neighbors and knowing their families. Because that's what we do at MACC Development. That's how we know families.
Which I didn't know, but that makes sense that you've been managing for a long time. And I think this is like even a pressing issue for like all people when it comes to managing, just where things are now in time. How have you adjusted, whereas I'm sure that you've began probably managing people much older than you, and now you're managing like with new processes. How do you provide opportunity and encourage people to move towards providing the best when they do work with you?
Well, for one thing, now my thing is I love people in my age group, but it's time for younger people like you to take over.
Mm.
So I always explain to them I still got childishness in me.
Hilarious.
I'm a 60% person. I'm not going to wait to know 90% before I get started. To me, that's like we never going to get started. And we need stuff now.
Yeah.
If I trust you, then my thing, this is what I want done, and I hope this is the outcome. Don't micromanage me and come to me with no 90,000 questions. I trust you. Go ahead and do it. You get some bumps, come talking to me about it. Like, I'm not going to judge you like that because learning is making mistakes. The only thing I ask is don't cuss nobody out. That's my job.
Okay.
Yep, I got your back. It's just like now with these elections and like our Democratic Party, I'm trying like I want younger people to have these jobs where they gonna make mistakes where we do too. And we have. And so what?
Yeah.
That's what we're there for. And if somebody give them a hard time, it's our job to have their backs. Because when I was younger and we were out organizing and protesting, that's what my grandfather used to say. If something happened and they call the police on you, make sure you call me. I got a lawyer. I'm coming to get y'all.
There we go. There we go.
And he would listen to your story and he'd laugh and say, okay, I guess we know not to do that no more. And
That's funny.
Get back at it. Like,
That's funny. That's funny.
That's how he was. Get back at it. And he wouldn't let, like in my family, if my mom or my grandmother started fussing, he'd be like, want me to start telling about the stuff you do?
Oh, man. Okay. I like it.
We got to have fresh ideas. Like I get bored easily and we have to try new things and fresh ideas.
Okay.
Because every generation is supposed to know and do better than the next one.
Well,
so my belief is your education, if you got it from the streets or in school, you know more than I do. So let's do it.
Well, I would say, Lord knows the wisdom you have and a lot of even from this interview and other conversations, I've picked up a lot of information and knowledge. But even just with what you shared about the wisdom of that 60% starting, I'm definitely gonna think a little bit more like that as I age because. Yeah, it's it's rare that I'm gonna get every domino in a row to knock it down. So it's like we have to build the momentum, and then sometimes,
and then the answers will come to you. The people with the things you don't know how to do will come to you.
Yeah.
Then that's how you start organizing and building stuff.
Yeah, the and I think everybody's probably had this, but the greatest example is I don't hear it as much, but it's like when you this happened before, like when you live next door to like a child that's learning an instrument. So it could be like the trumpet or the violin, but let's say the trumpet or sax. Early on, it's gonna be some days where you like,
I can't take this.
But as they continue, they're gonna get better. And they're gonna get better. And they're gonna get better. And to the point, especially if they keep continuing, it's like nobody's explicitly telling me I need to try to get an opportunity for this, the child to be on the stage, but it starts incepting in my mind. And I think it's other people through the community that's like, we need to get him playing now or her playing because they good.
Yeah. That's what I like. I got this group that comes up and have open mic. I said, my only rule, no smoking weed up here, no drinking. You can't smoke in the building anyway. You're not going to get me ticketed because the city of Detroit will tear me up with one of them $2,000 tickets.
Don't need that.
And you're not tearing up stuff.
There we
Y'all
go.
want to go out in the car on the other side of the street? That's your business. That open mic is phenomenal.
Wow.
We even had like Blair Anderson in our neighborhood. He's an ex-Black Panther. He
Oh, yeah.
got shot there with Fred Hampton. And this group came out when I was a teenager. My mother and them used to listen to the group. It was called The Last Poets.
Definitely.
One of the leader of The Last Poets has been there a couple of times, rapping and telling them how proud he was of them, because he said we couldn't have open mics. We were just out on the street somewhere, and people coming there and expressing themselves, and you seeing talent, and it's intergenerational too, which makes it good. And you got the artists there, because I want creative stuff like that, because if you're Black, stress is in your DNA. You can't go through all the things we've been going through and not have that. Some of us hide it better than others.
Yeah.
But it's a chance where you just can be safe. You can just be yourself. Like, I like stuff like that.
I love it. I love it. So as we get to a close, I do want, before I ask the last couple of Detroit's different questions, if people want to support, they want to give to MACC Development, how should they go?
They should go to maccdevelopment.com/donate.
Okay.
Or you can roll on by the comments with a check, and I'm there Tuesday through Thursdays.
Okay.
From 9 to 4. Or you could leave it with one of the baristas and say, would you make sure Miss E get this?
Okay. I'm with it. So you
and
Miss E to them.
I Miss E.
And Edie to the people in the neighborhood, but they know you as Miss E.
They call me because they younger. So I try to give them, but they like, no, we gonna call you Miss E. I'm like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm with it. With it. All right. So classic Detroit is different. Very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
First car I got was a 1976 Chrysler Volare.
Okay, Volare. I don't even know if I have. What color was it?
It was gold and brown.
Okay,
but I used to use my father's Pinto.
Okay,
and it was, I call it the Flintstone Mobile.
Hilarious.
The floor was rotted out in the front, and it had a stick.
Okay,
so I love stick shifts too.
Okay. All right. Where's the first place you went with the Volado?
The first place I went is to Toronto.
Ain't that something? Now that's a first. That's a first trip kicking off.
Went there and we stayed in a hostel.
Okay. Now I love Toronto today. What was Toronto like back then?
We went to the Caribbean Festival. Man. It was off the hook.
Okay. Hey.
They didn't like us because we was American, the white people, but the Jamaicans loved us.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'm with it. Caribana is one heck of a place. But like I always say, it's like Toronto reminds me so much of New York, but the food, culture,
it is like New York. I love New York too.
Yep, and
I go there a lot too.
This is I think it's a known, and this is no offense to the places, but my city ain't got the best Chinese food too. So sometimes
but I've been to 49 states. There is in about 6 different countries. There is no place like Detroit.
Oh,
when you Black,
you got that right.
No. I tell
you got
people,
that right.
I don't know how y'all deal with this. I'm going back to the D.
Yes. But yes, just that food thing. But yes, it's other stuff. Detroit,
a little whack, but that's
just
okay.
In that food, we got some real good other food.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I think you're not getting Mediterranean food in the country better than here.
Now I'm gonna tell you the best place for Asian food. So twice, me and my friends, 2 of my girlfriends. We fly to Santa Barbara and we rent a convertible and take Pacific Coast Highway 1 all the way to LA. Stop at them Asian restaurants and also in Chicago. But when you go in there, tell them, because they usually back there eating. I want what y'all eating. I don't want what's on this menu.
Okay.
That's how you do that.
Or like the places in New York where it's like the menus aren't even
in English.
Yeah. You be like, kind of like in in Mexican town. It's like some of those restaurants, it's nothing but Spanish on those menus.
Yeah, I go to the old ones that be looking all creepy and dirty. Like when I go out of town, I'm like, as soon as I get off the plane, I go to the first Black or minority person and go, where the hood at? They like, why you want to go there?
Food. Yeah, it's
The
definitely.
food is cheaper. I'm having fun, and I'm probably not gonna pay for nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely many of places like that. I had a grandfather the same way. But ended up sometimes with the best food in those places. Sometimes especially like you go to a soul food restaurant where like the table setting, like the chairs ain't even the same.
Oh yeah, them are the best places. I'm telling. Like on MACC, the Elbow Lounge, you got to be 35 or older to get in there. But if you younger, you got to go with
somebody else.
That food, even if it's just some Polish sausages, it's good.
Yep.
The drinks is boozy and cheap.
Hilarious.
And you just have a straight up good time.
I'm still I think actually they appearance, but I loved the breakfast place on the west side, Connie and Barber, when they was open all the time. But it's like, man,
Maddie's, they used to be on 6 Mile. Go up in that mug. It was funny.
Yeah.
I want this. We don't have it. What y'all got there?
Well, as I always say, any good Jamaican food, they're not gonna have a lot of stuff.
Oh no, they don't have it. Like, tell me what you got. They make it shorter.
If they too polite, it's like, that's probably not gonna be as good.
I don't want to go there. Yeah, I'd be like, I want to go to the hoodest place it is. Some of my friends be like, why you want to go there? Hey, you going where you going?
All day.
They like, you scared? I'm about to jump in this Uber. It's going to take me to the front door. And when I leave, it's going to pick me up at the front door. There we go.
It. All right, next question. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks, Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 2 songs. What you playing?
I'm playing Blow the Whistle. Too short.
Okay, that's one. Very, very definitely beloved song. And then another one.
And then the next one, I'm playing Funkin' for Jamaica by Tom Brown.
Okay, all right. We partying with you. Okay,
yeah.
So we partying.
After 8 o'clock is funk straight.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Okay, I'm with it. I'm with it. I love that. Funk is like it's another talk about like black people want to get right to it, as James Brown said. It's on the one.
Yeah.
We ain't got time to be waiting around for the hit,
Yeah.
So and then close out with if you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Coleman Young.
He is the most
That's
sought
the
after,
man
but why
right
for you?
After there.
Uh-huh.
'Cause why? He was like what every black person wanted to say. He would just say it. And he reminds me of this quote that Malcolm X said, I'm going to tell it like it is. I hope you take it like it is.
That's deep.
He was not afraid. And believe it or not, the richest people in this city, like Max Fisher now, they loved him. And the city ran good. The neighbors was respected. And he just deserves that honor. I remember one time I was in Cleveland visiting this guy I was dating that went to Cleveland State.
Okay.
And he was there for the National Mayor's Meeting.
Mayor's Convention.
And so they like grew up with my grandparents, his family. And
the guy in Cleveland?
No.
Oh,
Young.
Coleman Young.
Yeah,
okay.
A lot of people that is famous for people now, they was just people in our, we grew up around.
Yeah.
So he saw me. He said, Edie.
Hilarious.
He said, how your granddaddy doing? Because he would come over my grandfather's mother's house every Sunday to eat.
Wow. Okay.
So he knew me. I said, fine, what you doing? He said, I'm getting ready to go up in this mayor's meeting with these crackers. So we started laughing. So my friend, he from Cleveland, he ain't never really experienced that.
Yeah.
He said, you want to come up in here? I said, yeah, can we come? Man, that man had me rolling. He was telling people,
Yeah, Coleman, I think he's definitely often brought up, but like I always say, like, especially like some of those clips from interviews and him responding, usually it's in response to something that was out of line to come his way. But similar to like I said with the like if the like the civil rights movement, black person fights white person, it's like crazy savage black people beating up white people. So like if you ask a out of line question that you shouldn't be asking me in the first place, and then I respond, it's gonna just pick up with my response and not the question.
And it's like how they misquote Dr. King.
Yeah.
They never sit down and just heard his speeches all the way through.
Very much so. And Malcolm X too. I mean,
Malcolm X too.
Being, I think, way more black women that are taken out of context all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you don't get the right context for it, hence one of my favorite organizers, Fannie Lou Hamer.
Oh,
Like,
that
you
was
know,
they preached on her today.
wow. Wow.
Our pastor in training had us listen to her 8-minute speech when she was talking about how those policemen had those black men beat her in the jail and her injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
And comparing it to Paul and all the other prophets that got beat, but you got to stand up for what's right, even if that's going to happen.
That's yeah, that is her story. Like, her story is so deep because she's a woman, and I mean, even being a woman in this time, being access to leadership, that it speaks volumes, but also at the time and organizing and being black, and then also I think making it so plain but very brilliant. Like to know like pig banking. And it's like, what's pig banking? It's like you can get a pig and you can bank on this pig because you can make money off this pig for the whole year. And if you need to, you got food out this pig too. So like organizing and thoughts of like that are very functional for everyone throughout, throughout our community. It's like, it's rare you get, I think, leaders that know how to connect where it's like, I'm gonna make it plain for my people. But also it can be a message that resonates beyond.
And one thing in history you learn, you can use big words, but if nobody understands what you're talking about, you fail, not them. And I love Fannie Lou Hamer's favorite quote because I always repeat this too. You can pray all you want, but if you don't get up and do something about it, God is not going to drop it in your lap.
And you see how plain that's making prayer without works doesn't manifest. So it's like prayer without works doesn't manifest. Like it connects, but the way that was just said, it's like that's going to hit the person that's 3, 83.
All the way up. So get out there and do something. Stop. Like sometimes people be on, like they on TikTok complaining. So what is you doing? You making money and you got blackers and MAGAs on here, but what is you teaching your people to do? We already know. Okay, I'm glad you got these blackers because that's helping because we didn't know who they was during the civil rights movement. That's why all our great leaders got assassinated. But you not teaching nobody nothing. You just up in here making some change.
Yeah.
If you really teaching people, you gonna get some money.
I think
you gonna be taken care of in ways that you may not think immediately, but as time goes, you're gonna be taken care of.
What you just said is something that I often bring up, and you definitely fall in this art. But I got a homie Sterling that I bring this up. But really, the analogy is from back in the day. And it's a brilliant one if anybody ever watches it. I think Kevin Hart and Showtime produced it together, but it's a brilliant documentary on the life of Dick Gregory. Oftentimes, especially like, if you read his autobiography, Nigger it's deep. You should read it. But along the way, even like looking back, I don't think if you're younger, you capture the celebrity of a Dick Gregory as he enters and dives deeper into the civil rights movement and then black rights and then human rights movement. It's hard to think of this, but Dick Gregory is like a Kevin Hart figure at the time. When he's like, okay, let me start. And it starts very small in the sense of let me begin because they want me to do something in Mississippi in support of Medgar Evers. And then after his murder, it's like, nah, we're going to continue doing this. Definitely more weight on him, smoking at the time. And then he even makes health shifts, but he entrenches himself there. And a lot of the celebrity that I believe he had in like, I guess the American popularity then moves over to Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby becomes this definitely I'm speaking before a lot of the legal matters, but a figure that's looked at as immense wealth, immense success, and like concurrent with Dick Gregory. The challenge I think that I always say, and I like both these analogies because Bill Cosby is spoke about in Black America, I definitely think through like the 90s and most of 2000s is like damn near royalty. Dick Gregory is respected as someone in community. So all the relationships that Bill Cosby has, I think are way more transactional. People are like, I want to do a business deal with him. Where I think probably like from 1970 on till he passes, I think Dick Gregory could have probably slept in any city he wanted to, and people will offer them their bed.
Yeah.
Definitely the best meal that they had. People will want to share stories and take them to the most dynamic things in community. And if he wanted to find out like what struggles is happening, he could go there too. Like probably from 1970 till he passes. Like that's a level of what I call like social capital that he has abundance. You're definitely another one of those people where I think if you wanted to, you could probably couch surf the rest of your life. I'm not urging it to you. I'm pretty sure your children and family would be like, don't do that.
You
But
tripping, yeah.
you when you have social capital, it's a different type of love, especially in our community. And I'm not saying it's never to a point where a person with wealth could be offered something, but if you just have transactional relationships, oftentimes
different.
it's completely different.
And I always feel that way too. Real love is when the people everybody hates and ignores is the ones that love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we can go back to Jesus, them the only people he hung out.
I mean, very, very true. And like I say, I mean, it would be, I can't, and I mean, and we meet in passing in community, but if it ever was something that it's like, well, Edythe needed this, and it's like, well, we gonna make sure that Edythe get to that, whoever I'm working with, and it's not just me, it's so many others when they speak of the work you do. So I often know that, you know, in America, the thought process is get as much money you get, but if you do the work, similar to what you said, you have these real relationships, you'll be surprised how much people will go out their way to never.
You don't never have to have a dime in your pocket sometime. Because they be laughing at me at church. I'm like, I ain't got no money. They was like, why was you up there eating at that fine restaurant? Hey, they told me to come. I went.
Hilarious. Like sometimes you end up at the mayor's convention.
Shoot. I just show up. They told me to come, and I make sure I show up in my street gear. I'm not wearing no suits or nothing like that.
I love it.
And I might not comb my hair.
Hey, and I would, and yo, if you ever came to anything that I'm doing and someone would even stop you for something like that,
yeah,
that's a person that will be definitely.
I always tell people I dress like the guy at the liquor store. Because that's who we're supposed to be worried about. Because it's what's up here. It's not how I look on the outside.
I love it. I love it. With that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This was fun. I thought I was going to be nervous.
No, this was, I love it. I needed this conversation today too.
Yeah.
With that being said, peace.
Peace out.
Detroit is different. Detroit